G'day guys, it's been almost 2 months since we got the first taste of the Hostile Takeover update, and not only has it changed significantly since then, but the beta is back for round 2 with a whole host of new changes and additions, including a long-awaited overhaul of electricity with pretty widespread ramifications for the game. We're going to be going through all of that in this video today. Of course, keep in mind that anything mentioned here is subject to change and might not be what we see in the final version of the update. But we have to start with what I think is the big deal in this beta, and that is the change to electricity and the addition of shock states for most creatures and characters. So the majority of mobs will now get zapped by coming into contact with electricity. This usually comes in the form of the creature getting stunned briefly, but not taking actual damage. Exceptions to this include most machines, including WX, rock creatures, and Winter's Feast cookie creatures, all of which are immune to electricity. Plant-based creatures not only do take electric damage, but are also set on fire. This includes getting hit by lightning as well, which is terrible news for the one plant-based character in the game. Gee, I'm glad I didn't just start a new Wormwood run. That would have been really bad, huh? Spectral creatures like shadows and gestalts will also take electric damage but won't get shocked. It's also possible for electric shocks to chain between susceptible creatures, and while dealing no damage, this can be a very powerful way of controlling large crowds of enemies. Already I can see the Morningstar becoming a staple weapon, since this is just such a powerful feature to take advantage of. And if you're thinking, gee, Wormwood's a little hard done by here, thankfully there is one saving grace. The Warbus gear you can get from hammering abandoned junk is now insulated to protect you from electrocution, which is a really nice change that gives this set a bit more utility and will probably become essential for Wormwood if they want to progress through the Warbot fight. And speaking of which, since the last time we spoke, the Celestial Scion has been added into the game and shows up immediately after defeating the Warbot. And it's a pretty tough fight. I've had quite a few goes at it now, and even if I feel like I'm getting the hang of it, a single mistake and it's over, and it is incredibly easy to make a mistake. From what I've seen, the community is still pretty divided on this fight, and the jewels that you get at the end don't really justify it being the climax of the game for me, but it's still early days and we may see some changes yet. It seems the devs have already taken in a lot of feedback, and I think the addition of more research notes in the lead up to the Warbot fight is a nice touch. Not only is it a little breadcrumb of much needed lore, but if you haven't done the fight before, it acts as a small heads up to give you a clue of what you're going to be facing and what you might need to prepare in order to fight it. I'm still also waiting to see what this all means for your world as a whole. Sure, it's nice to see that Wagstaff got what was coming to him, but what actual impact does this have on the game? In the update, we did get some post-Scion items that mainly act as a way of allowing players to redo the whole Wagstaff questline in a world where Wagstaff no longer exists. It makes sense, I guess. And when I say the Wagstaff questline, I mean the whole thing, including the Moonstorm's pre-champ. You now have to craft your own static restrainer, which you can do at the Notional Fabricator. You can also craft new Astra Goggles and incomplete experiment blueprints, should you need any more of them. The Warbot itself also needs to be reassembled if you want to fight it again, requiring a base kit and the 3 legs, all of which are quite cheap to craft at the Notional Fabricator. Nucleation Fluid is also a new item that drops from post-Scion Lunar Rift bosses like Crystal Deerclops. I'm not sure lore-wise why this happens, but it's used to craft spark arcs after Wagstaff has kicked the bucket. Yes, you need to do that as well. And it might seem annoying that you now have to build all these things and complete all these tasks that used to just be done for you by Wagstaff, but I honestly don't mind it. All the items are pretty easy to make, and I like having the agency, and I like Wagstaff not having it. But we haven't even gotten to what might be the most interesting addition in this update: electric fences. You can find the blueprint for this by rummaging in the junk pile after the scrappy werepig has been freed, and you can now make fences and enclosures charged with electricity. Combined with the new shock states and behavior changes with regards to electricity, this already has huge implications for the game. Since the fence itself doesn't actually harm mobs, you can use it as a pen for a lot of creatures that don't like regular fences. You can also use it as protection for yourself, especially if you're playing as WX, who again is immune to getting zapped. All other creatures, including Wormwood, don't take damage from fences, but will have to turn them off to pass through or go around the long way. I've only tested these very briefly, but I cannot wait to see how much the community can do with these things in the coming weeks. In other news, boat placement has been fixed so that birds dropping a single seed in the way doesn't block you anymore. I cannot say how many times this has annoyed me in the past, and I'm so grateful for this change. Walter's shock scrap shots have also been adjusted to deal more damage to most creatures, but less against electric immune creatures, which makes sense. But yeah, that's about it for this update. Not a huge amount of new items, but huge in scope. I might have to make a follow-up video about all the things you can do with the electric fences after I've had more of a play with them, but in the meantime, let me know your thoughts on the update at this point. Is there anything you're still hoping to see from this beta? I'm hoping that this is a prelude to a WX skill tree in the near future, and I wouldn't be surprised if we got a Wicca or Wily one as well, based purely on the content of this update and the recent U2's merch, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Until next time, take care.